To my immediate right is Chaz Doty. To his right is Ed Smith. Patrick Michael is to his right. To my left, Adriana Gambakis. And Harvey Miller's to my left. Our administrative assistant is Pam Berman, and my name is Joe Pollan. I'm going to read the first application right now, and we'll start. First hearing, number 1, you're welcome to come on up and sit at the table, is for number 6, Cummings Road, DBA Dana Wallboard, map 13, page 13, lot 0, request by Barlow Signs, applicant for a variance from section 2.1250, maximum building height of the Tingsboro zoning bylaws for the proposed installation of a 120-foot flagpole in an I-1 zoning district. I believe that we already had a previous instance of this case before the board, but we will ask if I can get a motion to waive the reading of the abutters list that was sent out prior.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the abutters list.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried. Are there any legal challenges to the legal notice or the abutter notification in this room tonight? I don't see any, so I don't see any challenges, so you may proceed with your case, and please introduce yourself and who you represent.
Hello, my name is Paul Martin. I'm with Barlow Signs, representing Mr. Abbey for Dana Wallboard. So basically, we're looking for relief on the overall height of the structure for the flagpole. We did bring this in front of the Board of Selectmen. Everybody was in support of it. They did have a few concerns, one of them being that we fly only an American flag on that pole, which was going to happen. Also that it be lit whenever the flag is present. And they did have issues about the fall zone. I do have a chart here that shows the 120-foot diameter, showing that it does fall basically pretty much all on his property, with the exception of a small area of a let-in here that's not inhabited. I do have copies of the letter from the Board of Selectmen also.
Yeah.
You do have those,
Yep.
okay. One of the reasons why he was looking for the overall height of it, he wants us to be visible from Route 3. So we have various locations on Route 3 that do show a crane that he had set up at 120 feet, this one being on the property. This was a flag that was in the area that kind of inspired him to get what he was looking for. Coming from Route 3 up and down, you can see the various heights.
Those heights there are about 100 feet, that's a 90-foot boom. So that's the reason it prompted me to add another 20 to it. If you look at it from Route 3 as you're going by, the pines that are around it are pretty encroaching, so I just wanted to get it up high enough.
Above the pine?
But, yeah, so you still have only certain windows where you're gonna see it, but it's gonna be pretty visible.
Who owns the property, that, the fall zone, that little strip of the circle?
Massachusetts, state of Massachusetts.
State of Mass?
Have you ever lost a flagpole that tall before?
We haven't, and there is an engineer on it. It is, actually I have it on this one. So it's a standard engineer stamp drawing that comes with the flagpole, but it pretty much tells you that it won't fall over.
It's got the maximum wind ratings and things like that on that.
Yes, it does.
You said it's gonna be lit up?
It is going to be illuminated.
A spotlight or a floodlight or?
3,000-watt lights will light this up, 24/7.
Wow.
It will be visible.
Are there any abutters present? May come forward to air their comments? No, I don't see anybody. Okay, we'll move on. Can we have the reading of the Tingsboro departmental comments on this particular application? And maybe we'll look at the letter from the selectmen also, if you want to go through that one.
Sure. The letter from the Selectmen dated April 8th, 2016. Name is Robichaud. We spoke several times over the last month in regards to the proposed flagpole at Dana Wallboard. Since our conversations, I did have the opportunity to bring your concerns before the Board of Selectmen. At their meeting held on March 28, 2016, the Board of Selectmen discussed the proposed 145-foot flagpole that the owners of Dana Wallboard are interested in installing. The Board of Selectmen did not have any objections to flagpole except for the following. Number one, only an American flag can be flown on the flagpole. And number two, the drop zone for the flagpole would remain on Dana Wallboard property so not to cause damage or harm to any abutting neighbors. Overall, the board was supportive of the owner's intention of displaying their patriotism by flying a large American flag. Good luck with your initiative. Best regards, Kurt Delavance, Town Administrator. Other comments from the boards? Building inspector, no advertising flag, please. Planning board, placement of the pole should consider a fall zone which should not be within a public way or interfere with public utilities or abutting properties. Assessors, see previous comments, which we do not have. Oh, no, we do have. No adverse comments. And the fire department, see previous comments, which were okay. That's it.
Okay, any additional questions or answers that we need from the applicant before we close the public portion of the hearing?
Chaz had mentioned 145 foot. It says 120 here.
What was the original,
120 is the right.
Okay, but he said one,
He did, and that was a typo, actually, Kurt.
Kurt did make a type error, I'm
Okay,
saying.
it's just,
It is 120.
If it,
go ahead. I was gonna ask, can we actually see the slice of pie of the state land?
yeah,
In case you have a fall zone on the state land, can we see approximately how much that is and where that is located?
Sure, I may throw it in the walk around.
And this is the state land that's buffered from your property to the highway?
That's right,
Okay.
that's right.
This is the area of the state.
right,
And
as far as the highway.
highway from the,
Yeah.
that's the next question.
Uh,
Might be able to see it from the
how far where
photograph.
the highway was. I know that it's,
No.
it's
It's a ways.
an aerial shot, it's not visible.
Okay.
So the water over here, it's gotta be probably 400 feet or so.
Okay.
So you're talking maybe like a 30-degree swath where it would be beyond, and that would be just beyond, so the 120 feet would be just beyond your property line,
Yes,
and it would be on state-owned property, which would be a buffer. It's currently wooded, and it's adjacent to the highway, and it's nowhere near
Right.
the
correct.
Roadways.
roadway, or guardrail, or anything for that matter, according to that photo.
Okay.
That was my only question.
Yeah, that was my other question, too.
so the flag itself, what's the diameter of that? flag?
It's 30 by 50.
30 by 50?
By 50 feet. And that, the picture of the flag that's down there in the bottom, it's the same size as that flag. That actually is a 100-foot flagpole that's flying in Westford at the Cornerstone Square.
Yeah.
that Bob Walker put in. So his is a 100-foot flagpole with a 30 by 50-foot flag. So that's the reason I included that, is that you can sort of get an idea of
The size.
relative size.
Any other questions or comments, concerns? I'd like to, at this point, close the public portion of the hearing. I'd like to have a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
Make a motion to close the public portion of the hearing?
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, I have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Can't vote on this one. The ayes carry. Okay, we have a flagpole. We would probably want to put on the order of condition that only an American flag can be flown, and when it is flown, it will be lit. Pam? So only American flag, and when it's flown, it may be lit. If it's not being flown, they don't have to light. Those would be the only two that I would be able to think of at this moment. So I'm looking for a motion from the board as to how to proceed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve 6 Cummings Road, DBA Dana Wallboards, request by Barlow Signs for a variance from section 2.12.50, maximum building height, the Tingsboro zoning bylaws for proposed installation of a 120-foot flagpole in an I-1 zoning district.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. You have a flagpole.
Thank you
Congratulations.
much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting that up. It's gonna look great.
I'll be up to talk to him.
We're gonna proceed now to hearing number 3, 384 Middlesex Road, DBA, doing business as Dream Diner, map 12, page 37, lot 0. Request by Dream Realty Trust, applicant for a variance from section 2.12.50, front yard setback, and a special permit under section 2.15.22, renovation of pre-existing non-conforming residential dwelling of the Tingsboro zoning bylaws for the proposed renovation in addition to an existing restaurant in a B3 zoning district. Attorney Nicosia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
No hearing?
Sorry. We're gonna have Patrick Michaels sit out, Patrick Michaels sit out this one. Ed Smith will sit in on this one. And first, I'd like to say, I'd like to have a motion to waive the reading of the abutters list.
Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion to waive the reading of the legal ad and the abutters list.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Do I have a vote on that? Can I have a affirmative or negative? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes carry. Are there any challenges to the reading of the abutter notification in the audience tonight? I don't see any challenge. So, Peter Nicosia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, happy to be here. I'm here on behalf of the Dream Realty Trust, whose principal is Mary Beth Shanahan, who's with me as well. It's for the Dream Diner at 384 Middlesex Road. I have Jeff Hannaford from North Design Services, who's the project engineer that's gonna walk through the plan for us. In essence, you have a great, long-standing business in Tingsboro that is doing well and like to bring in some more customers. So these are one of the fun ones we get to deal with, looking to support our local business community. And, you know, it's no secret that this is ground zero for where we want to enhance and develop our economy on Middlesex Road. It's a great location, it's a great business. I'm sure probably every one of you have eaten there at one point in time or another. And what we're running into is a situation where, you know, sometimes there's wait times and customers, they want to go quicker than they can, so they want to expand. With expansion, they have sort of a unique site over there. They have some dimensional limitations. The site itself is a little geographically challenged. The front, if you have taken a careful eye of it, you have some sloping topography issues. There's a drainage easement in front that limits how far out front further development can go. On the back side, we have septic tanks and grease traps that are sunk into the ground, limiting what you can do out back. So the property was essentially assessed for highest and best use in terms of an expansion, and the proposed increase here is what the engineer feels is highest and best use of the site for this particular location. So what they're also looking to do, other than increase floor space, is they're trying to make the property a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, sort of more diner-esque looking, comparable to a lot of the diners you see in other communities. There are plans as to what the front visual of the property would look like. That's part of your packet, and it's a great project for a great business. So the challenges that we have is that we need a special permit from you because technically the site has some dimensional limitations that are grandfathered in essence, and then we're looking to vary a couple of the setbacks related to the two front yards on Middlesex and Locust. So we need variances from those dimensional limitations. We're losing some parking in the front, which in my view is a good thing, and we're adding parking elsewhere on the site, which will include new pavement. Jeff's gonna go over all of that stuff. The reason why I say that's a good thing is if anybody, as we all been to Dream Diner, I think it's a little bit of a public safety risk sometimes with cars parking in the front. You have people coming in and out as pedestrians looking to get in and out of the building, as cars are sort of going around. This expansion is gonna eliminate that situation and remove those parking from this front so that it's really, you know, al fresco dining, you know, pedestrian only, and take the parking to the back where the safest ingress and egress is. So that's sort of an ancillary byproduct to this redevelopment, which is a good thing. So without beating the packet, as you can read everything that I've given you, I'll turn it over to Jeff just to walk through sort of the specifics of the site, and we'll take your questions from there.
Good evening. First of all, I wanted to hand out a revised plan before we get into this. This has been revised based on Parking Commons.
I'm just so excited.
And I have a large copy up here. That's a little too difficult.
Hey, I didn't open it up.
Well, as Peter mentioned, this happens to be one of the good projects to work on. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One is an existing business, they want to stay, they want to expand. But I've been presented with that before and had to give the owners a bit of bad news from time to time that the site just isn't going to fit what they want to do. What's another one of the unique parts about this, besides being an existing business and doing well, wanting to expand, is they also own the adjacent property where Carrabba's is. Any business, parking can be an issue. Fortunately, because they own it, they do have access to additional parking from that parcel, not having to fit everything onto this one small parcel in the front. The zoning bylaws also do allow for sharing of parking for businesses that do operate at different hours, and this is the perfect scenario for that. They're open morning and noon, Carrabba's is open at night. The parking that they would be utilizing is behind the Dream Diner onto the Carrabba's property from Middlesex Road, probably the furthest amount of parking from Carrabba's. So even if they happen to overlap at any point in time, this would be the last point that any of the customers from Carrabba's would be looking to park their cars. So right now this is used as parking. It is gravel, and the proposal now, one of the revisions, was to say that this will become paved. And because we're eliminating the drive around the building to create another drive around without having to go over through Carrabba's, there'll be a little entrance aisle from the Dream Diner property to this back parking area, and it already has access from Locust here. So what it'll do is it'll give them a flow around this way on the back of the building, and as Peter mentioned, the front now will become all landscaped. If you've ever been there on the weekends, you know there can be quite a wait for a table. So now people will have a place to congregate. There'll be a little patio in front, so if there's any overflow, people don't have to be standing in other people's way inside, at least in the good weather. So what we've done is we put the handicap parking now over here, directly adjacent to the entrance. Will stay in the front. We've got existing parking here, and we're adding more parking here. We end up with 6 more parking spaces than the minimum required. And I did it that way just because there was enough space here in this gravel area to do that. So if there were even, on a rare occasion they needed more, there's parking right along here. It's all paved as part of the Carrabba's parking also, but we have enough by using that gravelled area that we're not even going to exclude that at this point. But just, you know, for your knowledge, that is a possibility as well. We've been to the Board of Health with this. The concern with the Board of Health was the septic system. What we looked at was on septic system sizing for restaurants, it's based on the number of seats. They were adding more tables, some more seats, but what they found out, and the reason they've been having a problem getting people seated, particularly on the weekends, is they have booths, no tables, and the booths can handle 4 people. But what they recognized is there are many couples that come in, no other place to sit but at the booths. So you have 2 people taking up 4 seats, and it turns out that that's the majority of the way they see their business going. So what we did to see if there was a correlation between that and the actual use, we took water meter readings over a 2-year period, and we compared that to the estimated number that Title V would say, just based on seats. And what we got was, we verified that the primary use here is 2 people per table, or 2 people per booth. So you can imagine how frustrating it is when you've got these 4-person booths, but you've got 2 people sitting in them, so essentially you're only utilizing half. And it forces the other people that would like to come in and eat to wait until they get a turnaround. So they just weren't utilizing the maximum number of seats. So that's part of the reason this addition is happening. And when we worked it out with the Board of Health, they were confident that the system, based on the current water meter readings, the system could handle this expansion because the existing system was based on the 4 people per booth. And so without that, they can actually add some more tables and still utilize the same system. There were some conditions on the Board of Health approval. They're going to convert some of the fixtures to low-flow fixtures to minimize their water use, which will help on the septic system. They've agreed to a periodic pumping, quarterly pumping during the year, again, to help maintain the system. So there are a number of things that they're going to do as insurance, that this system's going to work fine. One of the things that's changed since that system was put in is they were on a well. There wasn't town water at the time. And because of the well here, there was a protective radius, so we couldn't utilize this corner over here for any of the septic system. With the well gone and now them being on town water, that was another plus in dealing with the Board of Health, that if they did have a problem because of the addition and any potential added water use, we have this expansion area now, should they need it before sewer comes. So it just happens that because of the property here, because the well's gone, we're on town water, checking the water meter readings, it just seems like everything worked in their favor. So, in fact, the Board of Health did approve it with those conditions, and in going over this with Peter and the owner, we felt that what they were asking for could be done.
And you'll see the comments from the Board of Health in there, so those sort of, you know, dovetail into Jeff's analysis. I don't know if they were generated prior to us going in there or not, but. And we were cognizant of the planning board's comments on parking, so we built that into this revised plan to make sure everything's paved. And beyond that, I think the comments were fairly minimal, at least the ones I've seen from the comments. So we think it's a good project. It's a known commodity, known people. It's a great thing for Tingsboro. It'll be a nice visual upgrade in that area of town. And I think it's a smart plan with the limitations in the site that we have, so. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer those.
Okay, well, at this time, I'd like to see if there are any abutters present to speak for or against. I don't see anybody in the audience. So we can go through the reading of the Tingsboro departmental comments at this point.
Building inspector, please see attached.
I think the general standards of that one was the paving, which I think they've
Yep,
addressed.
all required parking areas should be paved, yep, okay. Board of Health. Board of Health provide following comments regarding expansion. Upgrade to water, conservative toilets and sinks. Provide water readings quarterly for 3 years. Pump septic tank quarterly. Provide a septic plan to show if septic fails, a new system can be put in. Provide clarification on the intended use of the function. Planning board. Under zoning sections 3.10.41, 3.1041.5, 3.10.46, and 3.1048, the requirements related to parking areas, that they need to be paved, space marked, and curb or curb stop provided. The 9 spaces that are designated on the owner's abutting parcel are currently gravel and do not meet these requirements. Spaces that are being removed in the front of the building meet the requirements. The floor plan in the application lists the restaurant as having 75 seats. The number of seats is based largely on 24 two-seat booths. Required parking spaces is based on one space per 3 seats. I would verify that the booths seat only 2 people. Section 3.10.23 states that the number of seats per bench seating is 1 per 20 inches. The number of required parking spaces could increase if the number of seats were larger than listed. Regards. Tax collector. FY16 fourth quarter real estate taxes are delinquent on the.
They have been paid.
They have been paid? Okay.
And on 80 Locust Street, I guess there's 2 parcels.
Everything's been paid.
Everything's paid? Selectmen, board voted 4-0 to take no action. Assessors, no adverse comments. Fire department, they're okay. Sewer department, no comment. Highway department, no comment. Conservation, no comment.
Okay, I'll open it up to board members with specific questions on this project. Feel free to chime in. You're sitting out on this project, on this one?
Yeah, I'm not voting, but,
You're not voting.
I'm not voting,
But
but,
you can ask questions as a
Yes,
concerned
right.
citizen, yes.
Jeff, how soon is it, when the line's gonna head up that way for the sewage for them, if something does happen?
We have not signed a contract yet for the design. We've done our preliminary, enough of a preliminary to determine approximate betterments. And right now, we're probably looking at next year for putting, for the design contract. So that would mean the following year would be the earliest the construction,
2 years,
if the funding comes in.
yeah, but it's a positive.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if something does happen, they have actually a better route than worrying about,
Expansions.
of the septic system. Pumping it, all the restaurants around here, we know are doing it. So, it's no different than what they could go through. So, but that's good.
Yep.
It's in the plan, which
yep,
is
we are
very
moving
positive
forward.
for the restaurant. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, a couple of questions, please. So this diagram here shows a car on the side here. That won't be going on, right?
No.
There's currently a drive-through. Will that be going away?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you just put that in in there. for the
Visual
Make it
effect.
look like oldies,
And
you
a
know.
lovely effect it is.
Yeah,
Is that the 57 Chevy?
Now, the building, what's this gonna be, is it to look like a railroad car, or is
I
it gonna
want
be chrome?
stainless.
Stainless steel railroad car
Stainless steel
looking
diner.
Okay.
appearance to it.
So all the parking spots will be paved, and then you have spillover to Carrabba's. Would you say that obviously Saturday and Sunday are your busy days? And what's the peak periods of time on those days?
6 to 2. And Carrabba's is typically 4 to 11.
Well, Carrabba's on the weekend is open at 11, so,
We don't I mean, the peak, when you say peak time, we don't have a line at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Our
breakfast
peak
and
time
stuff.
on weekends, I would say would be 9:30 to 11:30, 12 o'clock.
we just came through Mother's Day. Was there any problem with parking with Carrabba's being open and, okay?
And they've been there how many years? And I've been at the diner, I mean, they've been there almost 15 years?
Yeah.
And we've never had a parking issue either.
That's one of the few spots that has a lot
And
of
we've been
parking.
open at nights too, and we never had a problem. We both benefit each other, complement each other.
Carrabba has no opposition to this expansion, or?
How many seats do you have now, and what will
We
the,
only have 13 booths and 8 counter stools. And the plan, I think, has another 12 or 13 tables.
Yeah.
So
50,
51.
51
Plan, the septic says 51.
to 75, so.
great? That's all I
We were
have.
gonna entice you with menus, but we thought that would be overkill.
With the new visual.
The new visual.
The number of spaces lost on the front are about 9, right?
Yes.
About 9. And you've added another 10 in the back? So
We've added-
net, we have a net 0 gain, right, of spaces?
We've added, well, there's 17 now in the back.
Yeah,
Then we
no,
wrap
there's this
it.
right now.
So you've picked up spaces.
Well, I usually
Picked up
park,
8.
I usually get there so late that I have to park in the gravel.
Yeah.
No, so actually, there is spaces back there right now, but you're including the paved spaces. So even though I could park back there before, even though they weren't delineated, they weren't paved,
Right.
Can you-
The way it looked to us, of course, you know, being that hard-packed gravel wasn't painted, it was somewhat of a free-for-all. The way we saw it, it looked like it was mainly one row here.
yeah.
So what we're doing, if you remember, there's a green space between the paved and the gravel. That green space will be shrunk up a bit so that we can gain a second row here. So that's where we end up gaining over what's existing. Yeah.
Is there Carrabba's parking on this island as well? Is this striped?
Yes, there is. But we haven't used it in the calculations.
Yeah.
We didn't
It's-
feel,
And half the
We
time you see
needed
it
to.
empty, both for Carrabba's and for Dream Diner. No one's ever parked.
Nobody wants to walk that far.
That's the, people are lazy.
I really like the Dream Diner. We go there quite a bit. And parking is an issue, and I know that sometimes it's very crowded. But one of the biggest problems that I have is, you said you have proposed patio. Is that gonna be patio seating outside, and it's moving closer to Middlesex, and your addition is closer to Locust? Right on that radius of that corner, we have traffic coming down 40 miles an hour.
But topographically, I mean, you're up pretty high there.
Yeah, I'm
Are you saying
thinking,
coming down Locust or
I'm thinking
coming-
it's kind of a crazy intersection.
Yeah, no, it's not meant to be, we're not putting al fresco dining out by the street. No, when we talk patio, it's more of,
Like a waiting area.
yeah,
with
waiting
a car
area, the
show.
stage to come
Do
in.
we have any kind of protective barriers that may be employed on your property as a safety feature, just because of an errant vehicle
Sure.
clipping another one at that intersection during an accident in that intersection? We've had
Stone
several,
Wall.
Yeah, there's a stone wall there, but there's things like, you know,
And then a
the
guardrail.
wood, there's a guardrail too, but you can put in those wood bump stops.
But our existing, where the shrubs are and the flowers, I mean, that's quite a ways off the street. We're
It
not
is.
even gonna be
We'll take, in the
we'll
final,
make sure it's
in the
safe.
final landscaping phase of that, we'll take a look at those big, sort of wood telephone pole bump stops.
Something
that
pretty
could be-
though.
Yeah,
Like a-
something that
like
would
a
look good,
nice
that could be
diamond
planted
already.
in the ground.
We've had several big accidents a little further on up on
Yeah.
Middlesex. People cutting across.
Yeah, we'll
I
take
know-
a
I know
look at
that's a
doing
tough-
something like that.
Okay. And would you include that as part of the written plan, documented plan of plan?
Well, I
of
think
record?
we'd have to, I think we'd have to first determine what, I think we need to give some thought as to what we would use and where they would be
I
placed.
mean, couldn't we ask the state, there's no guardrails there now? I'm having a brain freeze.
Yeah, there is one in the corner.
Portion of the section, all the way up there is.
I mean, if you wanted to impose a condition that would be, the applicant is to, undertake,
Make sure it's-
reasonable safety precautions for, traffic that may enter the site, something like that.
That would be nice, going forward. I think we can accommodate. I would be able to look at something like that. but
You're
I'd have to
talking
have
on the
something
locust
def-
side?
I'd have to have something definitive, yeah, because before, let's say you were at, originally on the Locust Street side. So the required is a 75-foot setback, right?
Yeah.
Currently, you're at 32. You're less than half, and you're gonna be going to 16 on the Locust Street side.
Yep.
And that's from the building. That's the building, right?
Yep.
So you're gonna have people seated in that building 16 feet away. However, up on Locust Street, coming down the hill, the approaching traffic to the intersection is actually slowing, okay? Coming up the hill, they're still going slow because they just came out of the corner. But being from 75 feet to 16, that's kinda, that's asking a lot, right? The front, the proposed setback is going from, 75 to 48 is existing, and you're going to 38, so that's another 10 feet.
What's the topo in the front though, Jeff? Because there's a significant elevation difference from street level to the
Right.
corner of that property. I
Side
mean,
of
a
the
car is not
The
gonna,
edge of the curbing for the parking, it drops significantly down into
the drain.
this right-of-way area.
But that drop-off is not abrupt, it's
Oh,
tapered.
that's
fairly
abrupt.
It's abrupt.
It's certain.
A car is gonna come in that and is gonna nosedive into the side of the dirt wall. That car is not gonna be able to go up that hill.
Right, there is
And
there's a bit of a retaining wall, there's a drainage swale.
That's
That
installed,
gets
it's
picked
rip
up.
wrap, yeah.
Right, with riprap, right in that corner. We do show it goes to a head wall, to a drain, it goes underneath Middlesex Road. There's a pretty significant drainage and stream that goes from the opposite corner over here on Middlesex back towards the river.
Okay, I know
And
this,
it-
I know,
it-
excuse me, I know this is a little out of order, but we just want to have one of our members that just had to attend to another piece of business down the hall. If we can hold on to the testimony right now, he'll hold that thought, and we'll take a little break for 2 minutes until he comes
Absolutely.
back, and
Yeah.
then we'll continue.
I think we could probably get a street view.
That'd be good.
This is the point where you play music,
Right? Fade
like
out.
rock old.
I could hum.
The elevator, we're in the elevator.
I'd sing, but I spent the money my mother gave me for singing lessons.
Yeah, I want fire.
Conservation meeting, so you can sit on the end.
Two gangsters.
Wrong one.
Well, we figured there was a lawyer coming. We had to bring some gangsters in, you know. But we know Pete always has a good presentation. It's kind of his way.
Here's the corner.
I'm gonna go check in on that meeting, too.
If you look at the corner, see the guardrail,
Yeah.
and then he goes down, that's the wall he's talking about on the corner.
Okay, so it's actually a dip into the
Yeah,
ditch
Into the
for
ditch.
drainage, and then it comes up, and then there's the stone wall
And
with
then
the
there's-
plantings.
With the plantings. To go up the street.
Oops.
Yeah. There's the
And you
corner.
got a nice big pole right there.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
so the
see the-
guardrail, yeah, the guardrail, I
Yeah,
don't remember it
don't
being
worry
that
about
big.
it.
You know, I drive by there all the time.
That's what I'm trying to.
Oh, one
If
meeting.
you look at the sign, look how recessed the sign is down.
Well, we're gonna have
It's
to
gotta be pretty deep.
Which is fine.
knock those two out concurrently,
Yeah, you'd have to make it to the guardrail anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, this is really good, yeah. Thank you.
I do see what you're saying here, though. You see how it's coming.
Yeah.
Like if this guardrail is just extended a little.
Yeah.
You can go from here basically to there.
Well, you could actually, we can discuss amongst ourselves, we don't have to, okay. But if you went up right here, if the guardrail like stopped, like right here, if, like you said, if you came up a little bit further, that would shade that building so that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but this, I think, is, that's a divot.
Yeah, that's
Culvert.
good, right in the corner. Or even you could go with, like the big planters or something going up here, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I
the
think that's the solar mistake.
concrete planters or something. Beyond the guardrail. That way you wouldn't have to worry about the stake down and all.
Yeah. But it's quite a round.
That's a good radius, yeah, it's not a sharp corner.
Yeah. You see, Harvey, this is the corner we're talking about. That's Locust, Middlesex.
So Joe, are you just talking the Middlesex side?
I was looking at that corner, you know, people coming in from both directions, going up Locust from this.
Okay, so right at the corner of the top of the line.
Google Earth looked really good.
It's ditched pretty good there.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
so we're
substantial,
gonna
yeah, I
ditch
don't remember
is
it being
pretty-
that.
Yeah,
It's high.
I remember watching them.
That's what I'm
doing
saying, I
the-
don't think
the
it's, like, if it
landscaping
was
in
street
there,
level,
and-
Yeah, straight in, yeah.
Yeah, you
I
have
think
to,
a car just nosedives into the dirt there.
That's if they can get through the guardrail.
Exactly, so, all right, good. That's why, you know, we were mindful of police and fire, we had talked to them about this too, and they didn't seem to think any public safety concerns, so.
All set. Okay, go ahead, continue.
There is a drainage swale along this side of Middlesex that comes down into a head wall here, part of the drainage system that continues under the road to the stream on the other side.
And the guy.
So that swale is lower than Middlesex Road, and Middlesex Road's lower than the parking, so it drops significantly into a trough at that point. So anybody that happened to wander off Middlesex is gonna actually drop down into that before they could get up into this area.
And this is a pretty substantial guardrail that we just viewed.
Yeah, there is.
that Wraps around that entire
Right.
corner, it is kind of gradual.
Yeah, you know, what they may wanna consider, if, I would see maybe if there were a safety issue, I wouldn't think it would be more about the cars as it would be keeping the people, the pedestrians, confined to certain areas that we know are safe. So, there is a sidewalk here as you come off the parking, come around the building. The current edge of pavement's all the way out here, so that's utilized out to here now. But perhaps, you know, something aesthetically pleasing like a post and rail fence would be enough to keep people
Yes,
into the area they should be.
I was thinking where the guardrail tails off into the ground, if something was continued, even, it could be even concrete planters or something that would be erected to shield that end of the building, that's the extension. So
Right.
if someone does get a little out of control on that side street, they would hit that first, and before even touching the building.
Yeah, well, I think what's fortunate is, you know, somebody coming down this way, they'd have to cross the street.
Yeah, that's,
Present a problem. The people coming up from Middlesex, they're actually climbing a hill.
yes.
Coming from almost a dead stop. So I don't see the traffic coming this way as a potential problem.
No,
Only
the traffic would be coming from the other side of Middlesex Road, 'cause if you come down Middlesex Road taking a left, that's where you're gonna have the speed, and that would, to me, that's the most dangerous point.
That's where you would fishtail, and you can go
Go up
left
the
or
hill.
right, yeah.
Right, if you're coming flying, you take a left, and that's where you're gonna veer up the hill. That, to me, is the danger
Snow
point.
ice.
Right, but I think that's the low spot right
Yeah,
there.
that-
And once you get past that corner, you know, then they,
Right.
It looks like there's an elevation drop of over 10 feet there. Down to the bottom,
well,
you have
to the bottom
140,
of this, yeah.
there's about 10 feet. If you have 143 here, 34, and then I know that drops down, because I go there a lot too, towards the buildings. So say if there was a 3-foot difference there on a drop, going down to Middlesex Road, has to be 10 feet difference. That's
Yeah,
a
you-
major drop.
Right,
10
this
feet.
head wall has a drain pipe.
And then the
that
drainage.
goes under the road.
Yeah, then the
So
drainage
The
ditch,
the drainage pipe is probably 3 feet below
the 10 feet.
Middlesex Road, so, you know, that literally is.
Probably,
It's
the-
actually pretty dangerous if you were walking down Middlesex Road.
probably the most sensible is what Jeff is raising, some form of an ornamental fence to corral the people in from not
Yeah.
getting close to that hazard area, so that we can take full benefit of that
Or a wall,
drop in elevation, you know,
stone wall. I mean,
something. you know.
Going from the 75 to the 16, I
Yeah.
still have a problem, though. That's asking an awful lot. Have you ever, did you look at that green expansion section being transferred over to my left view of that building? Did you look at that as a consideration?
So switching it
Taking
out.
this and
Yeah,
putting it here.
I know it would probably bring it closer to the restrooms or something on that side of the building, right?
Right, yeah, with the layout of the interior.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
interior.
it would-
That's the kitchen and bathroom.
yeah, that would not be economically feasible.
So it didn't work well. But I think, yeah, I'm sure they're concerned about the aesthetics. As far as safety, I understand what you're saying, and if it's along Locust, that isn't going to harm the view. So if it had to be something a little more substantial in this area, I don't think that'd be a problem to do, and they'd still be able to have a view from Middlesex to their new addition to the building. As far as the front, I think the topography along here and the steep embankment is naturally going to create the protection you're looking for. So I don't think it warrants anything massive in the way that would take away from the aesthetics and give you something that the natural topography, that embankment already give you. So I think we're okay in the front, but certainly we could do something coming up the side, just to make sure if somebody comes around this corner too fast, there's a bumper to push them back into
Yeah.
the road and keep them going.
Any
Keep 'em
more,
out of the-
any more questions? Any more? No, no more questions? My question would be, would we feel comfortable going to a vote tonight, or would we want to see the plan view of Locust Street side with whatever you're going to do for more protection on that street side, since it's only 16 feet? Should you have an opportunity to present the board with those changes?
Or could we do a vote conditioned upon filing a supplemental plan that demonstrates those changes? then it would
And what
be-
if those supplemental changes don't pass muster, or, you know, you're putting up,
Then
you
we'd
know,
have
one
to,
gallon?
we'd have to submit yet another plan
Another plan, yeah.
until it passes muster.
Because if it's contingent, if it's contingent on us approving those of the bumper, we'll say, then it doesn't fly. So, basically, we can vote yes tonight with the contingency that we approve the bumper. Until they approve the bumper, nothing passes.
Jeff,
Yeah, if you
I
wanted
think
to
that's a good
spec
idea, that way they
something-
can work on the, you know, and maybe we can go up there and take a look at the area too, and then get a little better idea of what we think, you know, would work.
Jeff, we have this dark line that we've got, which has the 16.2 feet. We've got this lighter line on the outside where the parking lots are and so forth. What does that lighter line represent? Is that,
Edge of pavement.
that's what?
Edge of pavement.
Okay.
These dark lines are property lines.
Yep.
This line here is the edge of the paved roadway.
So what are we really talking about, distance between the building and the pavement then? Is it more like 32 feet?
That can be used for expansion, that's town-owned property, you really can't count that.
That would be about 30 feet
Okay.
edge of pavement.
It's snow removal, it's,
And
Yeah.
and I
Right.
agree with that. I hear what you're saying, Mr. Chair, but my comment would be that we do have that bit of property to work with we're not really looking at 16.2 feet from the edge of the road,
I
which
agree.
would have snow and
But it could be though,
being
someday, you
pushed
never know
into
if they
it.
widen that road or.
we really are looking at 32 feet
Yeah, at
theoretically.
that point, you have to leave that there. You have to imagine that the road does go to the edge of the pavement, because it could be widened
Right.
at any time.
So I,
Rosie, you had a?
we're not fundamentally opposed to the concern that you're raising and the remedy that you're proposing. We want to have some dialogue into how that will be fashioned, because we want it to be aesthetically.
Stainless steel guardrails. And that's a building.
Yeah, you know, so we'd want to do that, but I don't look at that, this is me advocating, I don't look at that as an impediment to the substance of this application. I look at this as more, okay, we agree to put up some form of a safety protection mechanism that would be acceptable to the board.
Before we get our building permit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we can't get a building permit without it. Just with the business involved, the timing features of trying to get their permitting done, not trying to experience further delays, there are economies of scale at play here. We want to try to move with deliberate speed. So in that regard, we're going to be looking to put a plan in your hand ASAP, which shows this. And ASAP is going to be a lot shorter than 30 days out to the next meeting, plus appeal period. So I would rather have the vote take place tonight, the appeal period start running, and then as sort of a further administrative vote, you're just approving the form of this safety barrier.
Would you be prepared to present at our next month's meeting?
What I'm saying is we want to do that sooner so that you can vote tonight, so that
We can
you
get
can
you
take the administrative vote at the next meeting.
within the 30 days. Okay, so how long would that take to come up with the plan that would, on that
We can
Locust
do that
Street site?
tonight, right, Chuck?
Two,
Back to my
say
budget
2
meeting.
weeks, 2 business weeks,
Next week?
next week?
By the end of next week.
Next week.
So it really is just gonna, yeah, I mean, the only variation to the site plan you're gonna see is a demarcation of it.
Yes.
You know, and some,
And a detail.
you know,
Some
some, and a detailed plan that goes with it, you know?
Is the board okay with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. With that recommendation? Good. Okay, I'd like to close the public portion of the hearing by motion. Do I have a
Chairman, I'd
motion?
like to make a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. I'd like to take the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes carry. Okay, I'm looking for a detailed motion that would include front and side setbacks. I'm looking for the Board of Health, 5 orders of condition, and the Locust Street side contingency, protection of the building based on your plans, and a proposal within 1 week's time. I should probably say this one, right? Okay. Okay.
I'll try it.
Let me try it. You gonna try it? You want to try it? Okay, go ahead, Because, okay, you have the 5 right there.
So there would be 2 separate votes, one on the variance, one on the.
One for the variance and one for the special permit.
All right, so let's probably do the special permit first, because it's pretty. All right, so we'd like to make a motion today for a special permit under sections 2.15.22 of the zoning bylaw for the renovations of a pre-existing non-conforming residential dwelling, existing structure to be raised.
Strike the word residential.
Non-conforming dwelling existing, okay. For proposed renovation addition of an existing restaurant in a B3 zoning district.
And the entire building isn't being raised, it's just the portion of the
Just the
facade.
Yes.
All right, do I have a second on the special permit?
You have a second? I second.
Okay, so let's make a motion for a variance for requirements of section 2.12.50 of the zoning bylaws, seeking a 36.5 front yard setback relief as it relates to Middlesex Road frontage, and a 58.8 front yard setback relief as it relates to the Locust Avenue frontage. All of the dimensional limitations are pre-existing, non-conforming, and no variance is required. As for the exact measurements, the minimum front yard is 75 required per the bylaw. Existing is 48.1 feet. The proposed is 38.5. The minimum, Middlesex Road, side yard is 75, front yard is 75 feet, the existing is 32.9, and the proposed is 16.2.
That's Locust.
Locust. Minimum side yard is 30 feet required, existing is 54.8, and the proposed is 67.2 feet. The minimum open space is required is 25%, or going from an existing 90 to a proposed 84. In addition, the Tingsboro Board of Health has the following 5 conditions to be placed on this variance. One is to upgrade to a water conservative toilets and sink, i.e. low-flow toilet. Number 2, provide water readings quarterly for 3 years to the Board of Health. Number 3, pump septic tank quarterly. Number 4, provide a septic plan to show if the septic fails, a new system can be put in. Number 5, provide clarification on the intended use of the function room. In addition, the Tingsboro Building Inspectors has put, or asked that we have the rear portion of the lot paved to comply with section 3.10.41, which is on the plan of about 17 parking spots. The third and final condition to this variance is we are looking for a proposed plan for some kind of barrier to be placed on Locust Street following the end of the guardrail that's currently in place up to the entrance,
End of the addition. right there.
end of
Yep.
the paved addition, almost where it says proposed curbing.
Entryway, it'd be an
Entranceway of, off of Locust Avenue, Locust Street.
I second that motion.
That was a long one. Did you repeat it?
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes carry.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next week, we'll have a plan.
Okay.
By the end of next week, yeah.
At the end of next week, we'll send it out to all team members,
Yep.
and we will give you our opinions. Written,
Thank you very much for your time.
and we'll work through Pam on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good. Let's see. We have
Right, thank you, guys.
item number 2, hearing number 2 was 92 Coburn Road. I see that we don't have a participant for this. We will work through the office to see if this is going to be resubmitted, if it has been removed, and we will get back to the board on that particular case.
I have one in my truck. I keep it in my truck, yeah.
We'll now move on to engineer reports. I see that we don't have any. And we will now move on to administrative. Approval of minutes. We're looking for minutes from March 10th, April 14th. I believe we don't have those yet. Those are still in the works. Old business, new business. We did sign the vendor bill schedules, and that's been taken care of. Pam, is there any other business that we have to attend to tonight?
Do have a letter from PSC for Ting Village. May 13th, in the future.
Okay, do we want to review that letter? Does everybody have that letter from PSC?
Yep.
Okay, let's take a minute to read that. I believe it's in our folder. And what is that pertaining to?
Water line installations.
Very last page.
That's an update
Road
from
Village, yep.
Mr. Sanderson on Ting Village status of construction for sewer. No action on our part. We have a letter from a Mr. Kirk Parent. Mr. Kirk Parent, I'll read the letter. I'd like to apply as an alternate member for the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've seen on the website there is one seat available and would like to get involved with this. currently hold a mass real estate license as well as an unrestricted construction supervisor's license. So with my licenses and qualifications, I think it'll be very well suited for a position like this. If there's any chance of obtaining a position, please let me know. There's a limit to our number of members and alternates, correct, Pam? Or do we have no limit to alternates?
I guess that would be up to the Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen, okay, so,
The letter has been submitted to the Board of Selectmen.
the letter has been submitted. Good, good.
So the website does show that there is an opening on the board for an alternate.
I just think it hasn't been
Yeah,
updated
the
in
website
8
hasn't
months. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Now, on the case where we have Mr. Miller on our board, he wants to be a returning member. He has a letter requesting his reappointment for the new fiscal year. And he's going to submit that to you tonight.
I will give it to you this afternoon tomorrow morning.
Excellent, so you can get it on their next board meeting. Would like to have a resolution.
I will set their agenda, so
Okay.
whatever they decide.
Would like, if possible, to have their resolution by our May meeting. Our June meeting, I'm sorry. This is the May, our June meeting. If not, okay, because then we'd be running in a little bit of a problem since, starting with mid-July. But would like to have a resolution before our June meeting. The new alternates that we have, Mr. Ed Smith, Mr. Patrick Michael, are you full on board right now until July, until the first of the fiscal year? Do you now have to reapply
Yes,
for July?
yes.
Okay, I will send you, give me your email address, and I will send you the brief form. You can, it's sort of like Mr. Parent sent in on his letter, a little bit about yourself. You already are an alternate right now, so they did grant you to be alternates right now. But I'd like you to get that letter in to Pam, if you can just send it in directly to her, and then she'd send it in with Mr. Miller, and we'd be all set.
Okay.
Okay? So if you send me your email address, mine is on the heading that everybody gets. It's probably in the book here also.
Okay.
I'll make sure that,
You want to give me my email, Joe, and you'll send one to me, or is that how you want to?
sure, I will send you it's just a short two-sentence little,
Yeah.
so just write down here, right on the back of this, both of you write that down. I will send that to you tomorrow. What else do we have for business? Okay, we've taken care of alternates, re-ups.
When is Chris's? This is November. Chris's off the board. Okay.
What else do we
There
have?
is a letter from Chapa,
Yeah, there's another.
Another letter?
in
yeah,
Maple Ridge.
about another sale at Maple Ridge.
Another sale.
Yep.
That we're not gonna purchase. Oh, let's see. Must be at the very end. There we go. April 27th. 21 Dickens Lane is part of Maple Ridge 40B. That's gonna go to the standard procedure for selling the property. Basically, they can list it within 120 days for an eligible purchaser. If not, it then can be resold at market. But the difference between market and the affordability index is then remanded back to the town. The town doesn't take any actions on purchasing any
We don't buy
affordables. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Roundtable, Harvey, anything new?
Nope.
Nope. Adriana?
Nope.
I don't have anything new. Chaz?
Town meeting next Thursday.
Meeting next Thursday.
Tuesday, rather, sorry.
Everybody's gotta go.
This is fun, I like this, this thing is a good board. You know what I mean? I like
I
it.
know, that's why we're here. I like
Patrick?
it.
Well, yeah, I will tell you, the reason I like the boards, I'm here because I think it's very important the boards help the town people. One of the things I don't like, and I've seen before, a lot of this comes very personal.
Oh, well,
And, right? And it's hard. That's why I got involved. I know what I've gone through with the town, and I've never made it personal. My plan is to make sure people don't go through what I went through. We're here to help them. And
I
I
agree
think, and
100%.
Eddie, and that's why Eddie and Linda, John Nappy came to me, and he knew that that's one of the things that bothered me a lot. And John asked me to take his position on conservation, and that's why I did. The politics, I don't want to see. I don't deal with it in my business. I am very old-fashioned, and if I don't like someone, take your stuff and get off my property. Go someplace else. It can't be about money. Life's too short.
Yep. Okay, so I've got your addresses, and I'm gonna send you out those, and you've got yours in. All I'm looking now is for a motion to dismiss the meeting. I'm looking for a motion to, end the meeting.
Making a motion to close the meeting
To
of
close. I have
May
a,
12th.
looking for a second. I have a second. All those in favor, please signify
Yes,
by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes carry. Thank you,
No, I
Pam.
wanna stay a little longer.